That's Tank Top Mike. That's Marky Mark. I'm the Prince, and boom! This is the NAO show. Welcome. We got done with the second Pro Bowl, and I can't remember, Mark, but did you guys win? Let me answer that question. No, you did not. Raise your hand if you won the Pro Bowl.
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
2 out of
Yes,
3. Burn! Marky Mark thought he was going to get away from not being trash talked about the Pro Bowl, but I'm just going to tell you right now, NAO show fans are proud, honored listeners that your real captain, the Prince, put together the best NFC lineup, and we did what we do. We win football games. What do you think, Marky Mark?
Did it by yourself, did you? Didn't have any help?
I said we
said the
win
Prince.
football
You
games.
said the Prince set the best lineup. You heard that, guys. So don't direct your comments at me. Direct them at the guy who says he did it by himself.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, let's give the score here in the NAO Pro Bowl. So we had the No Name FC 142.46. The annual fantasy champs 110.16. Not particularly close, unfortunately, but it was still a lot of fun. I think we achieved our vision. We had a lot of trash talk. I think it was a great one to kick it off with, and I'm actually looking forward to it next year. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So you guys give me your comments and talk a little bit about the lineups and all of that.
So I want to give out a special thank you to my team, Tank Top Mike, Goofy Jace, the Underdogs, both of them, Evan and Brandon, FNG, and Goofy Jace.
Twice? Goofy twice. That's how great he was.
Goofy
That's
squared.
how great he was.
Goofy squared.
Goofy Jace woke up Saturday morning and had to have commented in our chat the most he's ever talked in probably 2 years of this league. He had hot takes. He had fire, throwing out trash, talking at people. Great freaking people that we should have taken, and Goofy, next year we'll take more account of what you're saying, because if we started Williams, we would have beaten those guys even more. I apologize. As a captain, I will take that to my grave. But hey, we got the W. What do you think there, Tank Top Mike?
I like to think of my fantasy career kind of going on the trajectory of John Madden these days. Not only have I, not only have I.
You don't say. Just that. You got that career path for fantasy.
You see, already, the NAO show. I went backwards. And here I am now. The most valuable coach clearly on the team. I got a Pro Bowl winning coach on my resume now. 37.2 total points that I contributed, highest amongst anybody. Pretty incredible.
Hot damn!
It's an incredible feat.
Hot damn!
I think we can't talk about the whole Pro Bowl without mentioning Najee Harris, the most valuable player.
I totally agree. Fantastic running back.
Fantastic.
He got a bunch of points.
I don't know if you guys saw, he was supposed to not score on the last play of the game. He's supposed to just fall, run the clock out, win the game, and he's like, nope, scoring points. Fantasy championship.
He knew. The Underdogs actually tweeted at him for the Pro Bowl, and he goes, "Oh, Pro Bowl? Oh, I'm gonna score points. I got you guys."
I actually wouldn't be surprised if Evan maybe tweeted at him a time or two.
The jury is still out, and I think Ian is still on hold with Sleeper with all his score corrections. So this may never change. So there you go.
Well, I'll tell you, man, we had on paper we had a good lineup. It's funny how you start your studs, but sometimes they're duds. And if anybody looking at that lineup would have been like, wow, the ceiling is high right there. But we didn't hit any kind of ceiling plays hardly. I think Devontae Adams was the only stud that really came out that way. So it was a tough one for us. I wanted to go a couple of different ways, but yeah, I think it was a learning experience for us. I told my guys, I know it's just a fun game, but if losing doesn't piss you off, then you don't belong in this league, you know. So
I think that was the fire that was in our side of the matchup, because all of us, we all wanted to win. It was very obvious. We came up with a lineup real quick, and it was nice because we came down to, I think we got down to like one matchup, and we did the democratic thing. And if we had three that went one way, two went the other way, and we went with the guy that we had three with. So I think everybody was happy for the most part with our lineup going into the game, and coming out with the W really helped, really makes it nice.
yeah,
I think the most interesting thing is, oh no,
Amber Alert
missing
in
children
North
in North
Carolina.
Carolina.
There's a child missing.
So I had to turn my phone off for the show. Just saying. Go ahead, Mike. Sorry to interrupt you.
I think you're saying start your studs, and here we are. We're all. It's a fairly good, very competitive league for sure. We all we make good moves. There was no real tacos really. We've all got studs to play with in a Pro Bowl. Nobody sat any Vikings. I don't know who Manning is. I had to look this guy up, and we both started Cook and Jefferson. Like, who's this guy? I don't fucking care. Start Cook and Jefferson. Here we go. 11
How did that work out for
solid
both of us?
managers thought that was a good idea.
I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but I may have mentioned not starting Cook. But like I say, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. So,
I'm going to throw myself over the bus with Evan as the only ones who questioned Jefferson. But, we won, so we won't go down that road. But me and Evan are above the bus.
There's only one thing I disagree with. Do you have in front of you the total points from FNG?
I do, yeah. FNG scored a total of 29.1.
I got to give him coach of the Pro Bowl, because nobody expected it out of him. To get that many out of the the kind of the rebuilding last place guy. That's something right there, man. That
is a fun
big.
part about it. Like it looks like you guys struggled with Silly a little bit on his second guy with Rojo there. But I think it's the fun part about it. You have to have two. So
Yeah.
I
Rojo got
feel
hurt.
like, as the captain of this Pro Bowl team, I need to defend the honor of FNG. Just because he's in full rebuild mode doesn't mean that he didn't have solid people that we could have looked. We just got lucky that Renfro, fantastic year. He should definitely be up for some awards later on in the award ceremony. He was a solid pick. Everybody knew Renfro was going to go, and then New England was just smart managing. Like, New England, they weren't going to be as bad as they were last year because they had all those
COVID opt-outs.
And then they came back and they're doing fine, and that's really how they're winning games. They're keeping people out of the scoring, and they're only times, then boom, they win the game. So
sounds like you agree with me that he was the coach of the game, or is that what you're calling it, Mike? What's the award, Mike? Coach of the.
I think just best coach of all time. Probably
best
sums
coach
it up.
of all time. So yeah. We can't give it to you then. You're biased. Well, hey, good job, guys. We're gonna come at you next year, man. That left a bad taste in my mouth. Wanted to at least put up a better score than that with all those names. We had all the names, but
yeah, like we talked about a bit ago. It'll be fun next year because week 1, the Pro Bowl's coming, so you can start planning now. So
thinking about it, yeah.
What I like the idea is in trade talks, you're gonna be like, hey, we can't be giving these guys out to play them in the Pro Bowl. Pro Bowl, we have solid trash talking to do, and we can't be doing that if we're giving out good players. So let's keep them in house, keep him in these 5 teams, and then let's just make sure that our 5 teams are 1 through 5 every year, and that crappy AFC teams, they're all 6 and 10, 6 through 10.
Talk to me after the Pro Bowl. We've talked trades after the Pro Bowl.
We did a trade.
Yeah, I was gonna say you guys already did a trade.
Yeah, we got a game to win, though. We got a game to win. All right, let's move on to. We talked about trades. We have one trade to talk about. Nice that they're open again. Disappointing that we only have one to talk about, but I'm sure they're in the works as we speak. So let's talk about the one we did have between me and my buddy Sean here. So, Sean Reeves, huh?
Said the Prince.
Oh, the Prince. Sorry. I'll try to remember to call you by your true name.
I'm royalty after all. God.
So we had the Prince receiving Daryl Henderson and pick 14 in the 2022 draft. In return, I got Melvin Gordon, Donovan Peoples-Jones, and pick 11 in the 2022 draft. Sean, this was our trade. I'll let you start us out, buddy.
Well, it took me a while to warm up to this trade, actually. It was tough to send 2 pieces, one being Donovan Peoples-Jones, which is a kind of an enigma when you go ahead and try to value him, because his upside could be really high or it could be really low depending on a run for the team. Upside, obviously, is not Justin Jefferson, but there are wide receivers that do well on run for teams because you got to throw the football sometime, and Landry's not going to be there forever. So we don't know how that's going to work out. And we don't know how Cleveland's going to do with the backup, the quarterback position, if Baker's going to be there, if they're going to try to go get somebody, what have you. There is a bunch of questions this offseason, which I think is why we only saw one trade this week. But looking at the trade overall, it made sense for me. Having Henderson with Cam. Henderson had a great beginning of the year. Hopefully Cam isn't out for a whole year if he's out again, because obviously Henderson cannot be the lead back for 17, 18 games in a row. And the only downside of this trade for me is sliding back 4 positions. That could be a significant difference in the caliber of player you're looking at, because it's the top end of the second to the middle of the second. So I like the trade for me. I kept my 2nd round pick, which is nice because I don't have a 1st round pick right yet. But yeah, I'm good with the trade. How about you, Mark?
Yeah, we'll let Mike go and I'll wrap this up.
This guy.
I go back and forth on this one on if who I like it for the most. I think if I'm going to declare a winner, which you didn't ask me to, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to give Mark maybe a small lead on this one. I think I get it from both sides. I don't disagree with Sean making the trade. I think that next year you might see a little bit of a committee with the Rams. Obviously, Sony Michel just helped Aaron win a championship, so he's I can see all 3 of them being contributors next year. So that's a little downside for Henderson, but also with the talk of Akers coming back, potentially this week and into the playoffs, I get why Sean would want a little bit of it, a little bit of insurance, especially off an Achilles thing, that whole thing. The only thing I think, sliding back, I think it might be a little bit of a bigger issue. That pick 11 is basically like a 1st rounder with Goofy's, being that high. You probably could have gotten some good depth there that could have developed into something. Obviously, pick 14 is not terrible, though. But, it's still there. And then, obviously, Melvin Gordon just gets tossed around. This poor bastard, just everywhere with you guys. So we'll move on for him. Donovan Peoples-Jones. I'll take the upside on him. I actually came at him. I wanted him on my team. I think he's got some pretty good upside on him. If you want to compare him to Jefferson, I don't think that's going to happen, obviously. But a nice solid guy to have on your roster, a good flex guy to put in there. And obviously I already talked about Mark getting that pick 11. I think that's going to be some good depth there. Just feel bad for Melvin Gordon. Guy's got whiplash.
I don't know if you were watching Sean, but it looked like you made him really happy with your analysis there. Got any comments, Sean, before I finish up on it? Or
I said all of that in trade talk. Every single word of that was in trade talk. And I got told I was crazy. All right. Continue.
oh, yeah. So Melvin Gordon, he's this year's Brian Edwards with us three. So we've all had him and tossed him around, and now I got him back. So he's the belle of the ball. But I don't expect a lot out of Melvin Gordon. He's going to be 29 in April, so it was about, okay, I'm giving up Henderson. Let me try to get a running back that might be relevant, but certainly I'm not betting a lot of money on it. I do like Donovan Peoples-Jones. Landry could be gone. He's not under contract after this season, so and he's getting a little bit older. Are they gonna re-up him, or are they gonna go in another direction? And the good thing about Peoples-Jones is that he's picked by this coaching staff. I think they'll stick around at least one more year, and he was picked by that coaching staff, so you know that they're going to be high on him. And maybe Landry's gone. Um, Henderson, though, you got your handcuff, and I swear, man, if they play Akers and they're saying he's practicing, he's going full speed. I mean, unless there's some new miracle cure for Achilles, I'm really concerned about that situation, man. So I think it was smart getting him now. If something crazy happens and there's a setback, then you've got a good one. You're right. It looks like it's going to be tough for Henderson to make it through a full season. I said that when I traded for him before this season started. I'll give Evan some credit because he said the same thing, that Henderson's going to miss games. He's not going to be in there all year long. This was after Akers, and he was kind of fading him a little bit. And he did. He started off great. I think he was an RB1. I'm not sure exactly, but his numbers looked good the first 8-9 games. But then he got hurt and was nursing something down the stretch and ended up on IR. So I think he played 12 games out of the 17 game season. So maybe more than I thought he would get, but still not enough to, you want him down the stretch. You don't, that's, you want guys that are going to take you down the stretch so that you can make that playoff run. So it's in my mind, it's kind of even, Steven. I was a little bit behind on points.
I bet you would say that. I bet you
Yeah.
would say that.
If you look at calculators, I was a little bit behind on points, but I do like getting that pick 11 because I feel like I can, in this class coming up, I feel like I can get a decent receiver there that might be relevant right away. So that was the treasure for me. That's what made the trade worth it.
First trade of the season, and we said the C word. Here we go.
I'll always say it, but I'm just, I use them, and you gotta have some kind of baseline. So, but I'll take a lot of crap for it, but I'm gonna keep on using it. All right. Well, we're gonna wrap up the show with some just some league chit chat. So I've got a question to start it off, and we'll just do a little bit of a round table, and we'll see where it takes us. So my question for you guys: we had 3 new playoff teams this season from the last season. So do we think that the 3 who have not made it yet, and that would be Skippy slash FNG, Ricky slash J Hill, rest in
Rest in
peace,
peace.
and the underdogs are the only 3 that haven't made it into the playoffs. Do we think that anyone or all of those might make it into the playoffs this year? And do you like the fact, this is kind of a two-part question. Do you like the fact that we do the schedule the way we do to change the competitiveness and give the guys that finished outside of the playoffs a fighting chance to try to get back in there, or up in there anyway? So take it away.
Well, I'll jump on this grenade first there, Tank Top Mike. Do I think the 3 people that have not been in the playoffs will make the playoffs? There's a damn good chance that one of them might. I mean, to kind of lead into the second question, the fact that we allow the bottom 4 to fight for the number 1 pick is a big deal. and they play each other twice. So they're not playing quote unquote these stacked teams like Tank Top Mike. Yeah, I said it. Twice in a year. That is substantially different. That could be the big difference in making it to the playoffs because look at this year. It came down to the last two games for me. It came down to points for A-Bomb. And you see where that led to, like to say this league is competitive is a vast understatement. Like we're talking fringe guys that we don't think anybody has, and you go to see if they have them, and they're already on a player's roster. Like doing waivers in this league is a freaking joke because it is a dart throw from miles away most of the time because those easy waivers are already picked up. The hard waivers, they're already picked up. And those extremely hard waivers, I'm sure people are already considering them. Like, this league is extremely consistently competitive, which is really nice.
I think you got a good point about the bottom four and how that kind of benefits them. Because I mean, I directly benefited from that kind of schedule. Like, I mean, I was in the bottom four last year. And technically I had the easier schedule. I did a lot of work in the off season, had a good team, and then had that slightly easier schedule and made it into the playoffs. So like that's a great story. That's a John Madden kind of story right there, I think. But
Reference number 2 to John Madden.
Just adding to the narrative there.
yeah, see, just building it up. In a few years, I'm just going to be John Madden. That's what's going to happen.
So I got a question for the crew. How much of a difference do you think these picks that Goofy and F&G have leading into this year, how big of an influence is that going to make on their roster moving into the next year?
I think you're going to see a lot of changes because of that. I mean, having picked 1 and 2, for Goofy, that changes a ton. I think you look at Najee went first overall last year and he turned out great. Pro Bowl MVP. You look at Mark took Chase at number 2. He's a good chance he's going to be some sort of rookie MVP in either our league or the NFL, breaking records. I mean, fantasy wise, he was fantastic. And imagine if Goofy picks 2 guys just of that caliber and keeps the picks. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, I want to remind everybody that's listening and the people crew that Goofy, leading up to week 4 or 5, we all thought he was going to run away with it again. Because last year he didn't get beaten until 3/4 through the season, and he was 4-0 leading into week 5, I think. Stat correct me, Ian. I know you will.
You want me to do
Yeah.
it? I'll do it. Give me a minute.
Yeah, he's still got a decent squad. We talked about his age, like right from the beginning. He had some older guys, and so great time for him to be getting really high picks in a draft and to be able to reload with some rookies. But to see how he drafts. We gave him a lot of crap for picking quarterbacks and things like that. So, uh, but he was picking later in the round, so
He was
we'll have
3
to
and
see
0.
how he does earlier in the round. Now he's definitely got a chance to. Like I was saying, if he keeps him, he's got a real good chance to get a running back and a receiver that can be in his lineup. At some point in this coming season and be relevant. I'm not trying to brag or anything, but I've got Chase and Javante and Elijah Mitchell were all a big part of my lineup this season. So that just goes to show that you can get some picks that can actually help you out immediately. You don't have to taxi squad them. You don't have to wait for them to mature. They can be right in your lineup.
Speaking of draft picks and the directly into your lineup, uh, why did you make me slide back to the pick 14 when you? I'm so mad right now. After what Tank Top Mike said, I'm big mad about this trade. I just want everyone to know it.
I'm not. I don't want to show too much behind the scenes, but you asked a little bit on my opinion, and that was the same. That was the same opinion I gave you before.
You got your handcuff. It would have cost you more if something, if there was an urgency for that handcuff, it would have cost you more later. So, I thought you were smart trying to get him early on, like I did. I tried to get him before the beginning of the season. That was money because he ended up being my running back too. Because Akers was gone. So
That's a good point, though. I mean, I think Henderson's price only could have gone up. It wasn't going to go anywhere from where it was. It wasn't going to go down unless he tore his Achilles. But
I think that I'm like, you're not going to make me feel any better about what you said earlier. Big mad. I do want to say something about the league.
I have one more thing for you. This will make you feel better.
yeah, go for it.
If you're going to overpay, I don't think it was an overpay. I think that's the wrong word. If you're going to make a trade like that for a backup or, a handcuff, it's best to do it on a guy that just tore his Achilles and may never be able to run again. So,
And I told Sean that I said that, hey, I'm not looking at him like your typical backup. If Akers has a setback, you're still looking at a guy that could be a running back one. I know that Michelle did come on and they might committee that thing, but Michelle's had his own injury history too. So Henderson is one of those when he's healthy and in there he's produced. He's been good.
I want to say one thing about this league. In the 2 years that we've had it, this league has developed and transformed into more than just a league. I mean, we have this show. Obviously, I'm very partial to this show, even though I've never seen an episode. I have never watched one episode of this show.
You've missed episodes, like filming. You don't watch them when you miss them. That's pretty rude.
I've listened. I've listened to those shows. I have not watched a show. That, sir, is a politician. Thank you. That's why I'm the president. And I love how we develop things like the Pro Bowl. The Pro Bowl, it still has a nice little surprise that Marky Mark and I are working on. You'll see soon. But the Pro Bowl was a really good time, even though the league was I know our squad had a blast throwing together the league, what we were going to throw in there, our lineup. It was kind of we had too many good options, that sort of thing. So it was a good time.
I was thinking for my little round table, we've talked about it a little bit in some pre-show, and we kind of talked about it here today a little bit about the competitiveness of the league. Playoff spots came down to a win here, a win there. Points for were huge going into all of it. And I think, you can, I don't know if everybody else knows this. I know Ian knows this because I've told him. And, that turned out to be pretty bad decision on my part. And I apologize to the commissioners publicly for this part.
Public apology before you even start. Love it.
So you, back in week 8, I lost to Aaron. It is a close loss. I'll actually pull it up here quick. I lost 135.5 to 135.6. So 0.15 points I lost by. And you can look at that specific game, that specific week, is why Ian did not win the championship again this year. So, and
you'll love to see it.
And you can point to the Rams defense specifically in that week, because like Sean and I were saying, it's not like Mahomes had a bad game or like DeAndre Swift got hurt and didn't score some points. The Rams defense had like 20-something points that week, put their backups in against the Texans and only scored 7. So if they had not given up 22 points in the last 5 minutes of the game, I win that week. If I win that week, Aaron has one less win, doesn't make the playoffs. Sean, you're in the playoffs. Congratulations. You then lose to Ian in round 1 of the playoffs.
Boo!
I beat Silly in round 1 of the playoffs. And then Ian beats me in championship week. So just the competitiveness of the league, and we can point to a single player's score in a single week as to why we don't have repeat champion of Ian in year 2.
I want to go on the record saying that everyone is welcome that I did not make the playoffs. I did it for the league. I did it for this show. I did it for everybody but Ian. And suck it, Ian.
And you would have won 3rd place because you had a good week that last week, and
Yeah,
then you would have
sure.
been kicking yourself because you had more than the champ.
Yeah, you'd have been 3rd.
Yeah,
I put up a fantastic week that did not matter.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Well,
had
it
a few of those too.
because you got first pick in the Pro Bowl and picked one of the greatest coaches to ever grace the football field. So
Some might go out on a limb and compare him to Joe Madden. I'm John Madden. Joe Madden. Listen to me.
I was going to say
John Madden.
Joe Madden, John's lesser known cousin. Coach
For some dumb reason, I was thinking of that. There's some superlatives that I want to say right now about Joe Buck that I will not say on the show. But I think everybody that is listening to this show and that is on feeling Buck. So yeah, I think you can put those two together.
How do you feel about him? You know how you feel about him?
Oh,
Well,
you don't know how I feel about him?
no, I said that. We know how you feel about him.
Oh, okay, all right.
Silly's gonna watch this show and he's gonna pinpoint just that, just as Joe Buck love is coming out in the off season.
There's a lot of things I cannot get on board with that Silly Dilly has said. Joe Buck is definitely the number one thing. He is so far off center with his love for Joe Buck. It kind of makes me question his character as a human being.
Probably just doing it to be contrary to you.
Oh, no one does that in this league.
He probably doesn't like him either, but if you don't like him, he's got to say he likes him just to get under your skin.
Just to turn those screws. I get it.
And that's another fun thing about this league, man. We put together a good group of guys that we have a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun.
Okay,
like
here's my hot seat actual question. It's my league question for you guys.
All right.
I asked it in chat and you guys didn't answer. So what is your year 3 NAO hot take? What's happening? What's your gossip? What's the hot take?
Humpty Dumpty makes it to the championship.
The championship?
The championship.
When we get to the ranking show, he's pretty low right now. I'm not
Yeah,
giving him.
Oh, he's got King Henry.
He's got a lot of work to do. He's got his work cut out for him.
Championship. Put it on the board right now.
All right. I mean, that's a fire hot one for sure.
Is.
So, what are we making predictions for the league itself, or?
I don't think predictions. I guess just your hot take
For the league or for fantasy?
For the league, yeah. League in general.
For the league. Well, I think
Brandon fires Evan.
I think FNG is going to do really well with his draft, and he's gonna. I'm not going to say he's in the playoffs, but I'm going to say that he's right there, scratching the surface. He could do a 7-7 next year, and 7-7 got into playoffs this year.
No, it didn't. No, it fucking didn't. I was 7-7. I was 5th. I did not make the playoffs. No, it didn't.
Wasn't Aaron 7-7?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Fuck me. Yes, he was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's what I say. So 7-7 was 4-5, and I feel like that's an attainable goal for him. I think he's going to do good things with all of these draft picks, and we'll see what else he does with it. It's one of those things where I think he can draft really well and jump up there. Let's see what trades he makes, because I like those 2 late trades he made, getting Cooper and Godwin. It's really unfortunate that Godwin got that injury, and we were talking about that a little bit. He's like, I traded for guys that were injured like right away. That's the way it goes sometimes. But Godwin should be ready for the beginning of the season, and Cooper. those are two good moves to make kind of pre-draft. And now with the draft, I think he's gonna jump out of that bottom 4 and at least be in the Who Cares Bowl.
With that take, Goofy Jace enters the chat.
Yeah.
I think Goofy Jace is being underappreciated in his draft picks right now.
My hot take was actually a perfect combination of both of yours, in that Goofy nails his draft and actually makes it back into at least the playoffs, potentially into the championship game.
That is not even really that much of a hot take, because I honestly think he would have to work hard not to do it. I mean, all power to him if he does it. Fantastic job going from the bottom 4 to the top 4. Tank Top Mike did it.
I did it. I've already done it.
Yeah, he's already done it. John Madden-esque.
I'm a trailblazer.
Blazing that trail. But I think you're really selling Goofy Jace's ability to put a good team together, regardless of how old they are, regardless of where they are. And he's got the 1 and 2 picks. Like you said earlier in this show, those picks are going to be significant picks. They could be, obviously, I don't think he's going to draft the next Jamar Chase, because I think he's a generational type talent. And if he comes 3/4 of the way to Jamar Chase, he'll have a fantastic piece. But I think those picks are going to have huge, huge weight in the standings this time next year.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're taking my FNG love as an indictment on Goofy, which it really wasn't. So
it's okay. You can have an indictment on Goofy. This is what this show is built on. I'm just here to call you on it.
If the glove fits, that's what they say.
Yeah, no, I think I said good things about Goofy. Rewind after we do this show and listen. I said good things about Goofy already. So, but
here's my follow-up question.
Our listeners can read between the lines, Marky Mark. It's okay.
Here's my follow-up question, and I demand a direct answer on this follow-up question.
I'm here for it.
And you're wondering, like, okay, what is it going to be? But you'll see. So
you can only get away with that because you got that tank top on. Otherwise, I'd tell you to go pound salt. But I'll go ahead and.
Bear is looking right at me.
I'll take your demand.
Frank.
I'll take your demand.
So we all think that Goofy and FNG are going to do pretty well, which means we need a new 10th place person at the end of the season.
Ooh.
So who's last? Who tanks? Who sucks?
I think my gut says Silly Dilly, but I think the vortex of shit is a real thing, and I think it's yearly, and I think going into next year, the vortex of shit just gets stronger, and it helps him even better. 10th place. We're making a call a week after the end of the season for 10th place next year.
Yep, and
right,
really, let me lay this out quick. You, Sean, have said Ricky's going to be in the championship game, so it can't be Ricky.
Put it on the board, King Henry. If he has King Henry on his lineup, he will be in the championship. Continue.
It can't be Goofy because he's going to do well. It's good. You think the championship is going to be Goofy and Ricky next year?
No. I said Goofy's going to be in the playoffs. He's going to be back in the playoffs fighting for the championship. It's okay. I'll defend myself. Continue, Tank Top Mike.
And it can't be F&G, so who's it going to be?
Yeah, I think the shit vortex has an expiration date, so I don't. It's not going to last in the next year. I'm not saying he's going to be in 10th place though. I think Dylan has a decent roster right now with a few key adds or trades. I think he could compete again for the playoffs. But he's got his work cut out from a little bit. I think Ricky's got his work cut out much more though. So if I had to call it right now, I'd say Ricky's down there at the bottom next year. And I don't know, I don't know if he's even got enough. He did so much so many win now moves that I don't know if he's got enough to get back up there again. So
Welcome to the league, Landon. You're going to be last place.
What's that?
Welcome to the league, Landon. You're going to be last place this year.
Yeah, well, he doesn't have his first round pick either. So that was like the last That was the last nail in the coffin. I think I hit the nail on the coffin there. So
There you go. I think this is one of the hardest questions I've ever been asked on the show because I'm sitting here and I really strongly think the Home is going to be in the playoffs, championship if he has King Henry, because he is a guy that will go out and get a guy and pay whatever he needs to add him to his team. At the beginning of the year, we thought he was going to freaking get in there, with Henry in the playoffs. I'm always going to bet on Henry in the playoffs unless he's playing me, and then he's going to go down. But that leaves me players like the DBs. Like, how the heck are the DBs in the bottom four again this year? Look at their lineup. Even professional fantasy players, fantasy podcasters thought they were going to be top four, and they were going to be the one team that was going to be fighting Ian for the championship.
Yeah, top two.
They didn't make the playoffs. Like, what is wrong with what is the luck that these guys are having? Like, so I can't put them in the bottom because that is just I don't want that smoke. Let's start there.
So
I do not want to put myself in the bottom because my team is so great that it's never going to be in the bottom unless half my team gets injured. Knock on wood, real wood. So that leaves me Marky Mark and the people that were in the playoffs this year. I guess I would have to pick Marky Mark just out of necessity of picking somebody. I hate that pick, Marky Mark. Honestly, I'll tell you right now, I hate that pick to save my life. But I really do think FNG is going to do well with his picks, like you said. But I think Goofy is going to do even better with his picks, which puts him up there. I think the fight for the fourth position in the playoffs next year is going to be even harder than it was this year. And this year it came down to freaking points. So no one is going to be sitting anybody to win a game in the season. So I picked Marky Mark with a lot of questions.
Wow.
Very silently, I picked Marky Mark because I have to pick somebody. Thanks, Mike.
I respect it.
So I was 6-8, and I was fourth in scoring by 5 points or something like that.
Woo! All right, come at me with the points. Got it. Let's go.
So I'm gonna go less than 6-8. My points for are gonna just tank, huh?
So
let me
if you take out FNG, because FNG, he was hundreds of points less. You took 1,500 points or below is the his last place.
He didn't have Amari Cooper on his team. He did not have Chris Godwin on his team all year.
I'm saying if it comes down to points, the lowest is gonna be about 1,500.
No.
Oh, yeah.
No.
No
way.
The lowest this year was 1,297, but that was FNG. And then next from there was Ricky, 1,537.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood you. I thought you said it was gonna be 1,500 under. I was like, no way, no way, and how? This year, the league is gonna be so competitive. It's gonna be ridiculous. Like, it's gonna come down to that one thing, like Mike said in week 8, where the freaking defense puts in their second string, third string, and he loses the game, and that ultimately defines who wins the league. Like, I think that's going to be for positions 1 through 7. You know what I mean?
I do think what we had Jay Hill, rest in peace. In year 1, he only had 3 wins, and then FNG had 3 wins this year. I think that we're done with that. I think we're going to have, the bottom guys are going to have 5-6 wins, potentially.
Yeah, and that means people are going to – it's like if you lose 5 times next year, I don't think you make the playoffs.
It could be tough.
That's how competitive this league is. It's going to be crazy. If the DBs do what they're supposed to, like what we all thought they were going to this year, and Marky Mark, you do what you're supposed to, like, it's going to be so freaking hard. Like, everybody is gonna create the best lineup they can. All of us are very, very good at this, regardless of who you are. Don't sleep on FNG. I've had a person-in-person conversation with him. He knows drives in excruciating detail. Excruciating detail. This guy knows football. Do not sleep on FNG.
I told you guys. I told you.
So just to be fair to you guys, I'll give you mine. I won't leave.
Who
I
do
won't
you
leave
think,
you out
Tank
to
Top
dry.
Mike?
I
I'm
won't
over
leave
here
you
on the
out to dry.
hot seat. Marky's sending cruise missiles my way. Golly.
We've met your demands now. Let's hear yours.
I'm
Freaking
gonna.
terrorist.
I actually, Mark, you said something that the shit vortex has an expiration date.
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna go with the easy out? Got it. All right,
am.
here we go.
There are too many metrics that show that Silly Dilly is just terrible, and I think he's overconfident. I think he's going to make some brash moves here that are going to tank him in the long term, and we're gonna see the end of the shit vortex. It's going to fizzle out. It's going to be like a shit typhoon, and it's just going to be like a shit rainstorm, and it's going to be like a shit drizzle, and then from there it's like, who cares? You don't even need to wear your shit boots.
Then it's gonna be covered in shit, right?
And then who's left? It's just Silly there, standing in shit at the end in 10th place.
Silly Dilly, I want to go on the record and say that I was the only one that rooted for you, just so you know.
We already saw the end. We already saw the storm. The storm is losing some power here the last few weeks.
Yeah.
Last few weeks.
Yeah, he averaged 69.5 points in the playoffs, 2 playoff matches. So not good.
I would say, how are you going to talk about a guy that made the playoffs, but you're Tank Top Mike, you're John Madden, reborn in fantasy football, so I guess you can say all the shit you want.
I think we had I went from the bottom four. Silly, to Silly's credit, he went from the bottom four to the playoffs as well, but he's going to ruin his legacy from going, from the bottom four to the top four to the bottom, all the way to the bottom.
There's a question. How many of the bottom 4 teams make it to the playoffs next year? I say Humpty makes it, and I think Goofy is going to be right there. Right there.
I'm going to give it to 2, and I'm going to say the underdogs make the playoffs. I think they finally
Easy call.
Well, you're throwing softballs.
That wasn't a hot take at all, Tank Top Mike. Golly.
No,
It was an easy call this year. They were the number 2
Yeah.
consensus.
I've said,
and where'd they end up?
I've said all year that I like the underdogs team, and nothing's changed. So I still like the
I
team.
do too. I think they do fantastic work, but it's a real travesty that their luck freaking kicks them right in the asshole every year. But to say that they're going to make it in the top 4 means one of us is going to be out.
I say Goofy and the dogs, and FNG is probably just on the outside looking in.
No. So does that mean Sean is out of the Who
There
Cares
it
Bowl
is.
finally? Is Sean
That is a
finally
hot
out of the Who
take
Cares
right
Bowl?
there. What's
Yeah.
that, Mike?
So if FNG is just outside the playoffs, that means there's only one other spot in the Who Cares Bowl. And you might not be 5th again for one.
He likes being captain of that Pro Bowl. I know that.
Why not make it 3 for 3? Let's go.
I do have a bold prediction.
Ooh, okay, here we go. We've been doing bold predictions all show.
Yeah, we really have.
After Silly Dilly listens to this episode, it's going to get mighty blue in the chat. I don't know if you guys, I might be dating myself, the blue language, the blue, that's salty. Well, we're going to see some salty language, I think.
Does Silly Dilly be salty? I've never seen it once in my life.
I think he might outdo himself. He might outdo himself after this one.
What's the prediction for does Silly ever make it on the show?
I don't know. I think we will. Even,
I'm actually under on that. I don't think he ever makes it on the show.
I don't know. I've tried a
How
lot.
about this one? Does Landon make it on the show?
There you go.
Yeah, I'll take the over on that bad boy. Let's go, Landon.
Landon.
Now that I know that Landon and Humpty Dumpty is complete opposites, we need to have both of them on the show at the same time and have them going at each other. How awesome would that be? I'm just saying. This is what the NAO listeners want. This is what our fan base wants. And we, as the crew of the NAO show love making our listeners and watchers happy. So we got to make it happen. Let's go.
I'm up for that.
I guess we will have to see if we can get the new guy on. He's not FNG. He's just NG. He'll be the NG. We'll get the new guy on. FNG is always FNG. I don't know if I can call him anything else now.
I literally would not know who the heck you were talking about.
I would think you're talking about F&G.
And he's the youngest, I think. I think he's the youngest of all of us. He just fits the FNG all to a T, you know. But yeah, we'll have to see if we can get Landon on here and introduce him to the rest of the Madhouse patients here.
I would like to go on record for the third time this show, if you're keeping count, that I am the leader of the Madhouse.
Well, what else we got, guys? Anything?
Freaking Tank Top Mike just putting us all on blast this show. And he had all this written down. He comes in pre-show, goes, "Oh, I only got one thing that I'd like to ask, blah, blah, blah." But no, he has a secret freaking mission to put all of us on blast and put us on the hot seat. And I'm over here freaking throwing my own cousin under the bus. You're welcome. And freaking making hot takes like Goofy's going to make the freaking playoffs and Humpty's going to make the freaking championship. He will. Well, if King Henry's on his lineup, he will make the championship. I'm saying it right now.
I'm looking at the standings from last year, and I'm ticking them off in my mind as you're talking about them. Like, he's in the championship, he's doing this, and there was nobody left in the bottom four, so I needed to know.
Everyone's going to be right outside the playoffs. There's I don't know. Some people say that your percentage, your hit percentage isn't that great. So I'm kind of glad you picked me for finishing last in the league. Now I don't know that percentage.
Knowing this, knowingly picked you.
I don't know the percentage. I don't know the.
It's not good. I don't know
the stats exactly, but when you picked me last,
it's got to be less than 30%.
Yeah, when you picked me last, I was kind of like, yes, sir. Fire me up for next season.
My hot takes are kind of cooling off, as they say.
I wish we wrote some of the early ones down.
Like Duke Johnson going for 1,000 yards in season 1.
I'm sure if we watched the first few episodes of season 1, I'm sure there's some doozies.
Oh man, episode 1, season 1. I was just making a hot.
There's a show idea. Let's rewatch season 1, episode 1 live. Get a react going on.
Oh Jesus, I'm gonna talk about cringeworthy. It was just me yelling into the microphone the whole time. What the heck?
That'll be fun, man. Seems like years ago, but it wasn't that long ago.
It was 2 years ago.
2 years, but
we've done hundreds of these episodes.
I'm saying, man, we've done a bunch of shows, so seems like a lot longer.
Well, that's the NAO show this week. Fantastic win to my squad. Tank Top Mike, you are the fantasy manager of the NAO Pro champion. Good job. Congratulations. Thanks for being on the team and forever being on our team.
Great first pick.
And Marky, you suck because A, you can't draft a freaking Pro Bowl team to save your life. B, next year you're going to be dead last in the league. And if you're watching this show, and Landon, this is a trademark, and you suck.